Hello, and welcome back to the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. And so today's show, kind of funny, we're doing something that I think we've covered this before, but I want to say it was probably 3 years ago. I think it was the first season of our show. We're talking about getting your books into catalogs and subscription boxes. And it was kind of funny when I mentioned this to Amy about the show idea. We were kind of batting this idea back and forth. And Amy, do you want to tell our listeners what you thought?
Yeah, honestly, I was like, well, I don't understand, because I was honestly under the opinion that catalogs didn't exist anymore. I mean, I know magazines exist. I'm not completely living under a rock. But I was like, wait, do they still do catalogs? And I guess my idea of what a catalog is has just shifted a little bit, but that doesn't mean they're not still around. I think of Sears, honestly. When I hear the word catalog, I get very nostalgic and I think of Sears.
Right.
But clearly I'm living, about 30 years in the past at this point.
But, I get a ton of catalogs. I don't know how I end up. You get on some random list and then all of a sudden you just get all these catalogs. But so this time of year, I get a wine and country catalog because the first word is wine, but there are catalogs out there. There are, as a matter of fact, we've had books in a few of them, including Bass Blue, which is books and gifts, which is a perfect outlet. And then we're also going to talk about subscription boxes, because this is something that I had a conversation with a client about. She has a lovely children's book. And I said, we need to get this into subscription boxes because it's actually easier than you think to reach out to these outlets. I think catalogs and subscription boxes feel a little bit like, well, I'm sure that they find products and they contact the person, when in fact 90% of their inventory is pitched to them. So the first piece of this is that you have to find a match. So you have to find a brand match, right? And Amy, you've had, and in this case, obviously this author had a children's book, and there are tons of subscription boxes, everything from foodies to men's health to there's a new subscription box for like singletons that I was looking into, but it looked sort of weird. It was a weird, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bite my tongue on that one because you could go in so many ways.
I know. It had like stuff in there for like spells and things to conjure up a date. And I'm like, no, I was hoping more for something that mailed me.
Yeah.
Right. I was hoping for a box that mailed me cheese. Oh, she's by herself. She needs more cheese.
Right.
But you've had subscription boxes for your kids, right?
Oh, lots of times. And they're actually really great gifts too. I will say I've gifted a lot of subscription boxes, and the kiddos have received a lot of subscription boxes because they're great because it's new, it's different, it changes all the time. But yeah, we've done everything from STEM activities to baking, honestly. And all of them have always been a big hit.
Well, and I think that, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, this is really piquing my interest, there are subscription boxes that are very book focused. But what I'm encouraging you to do, and what I hope that your takeaway is from the show, is I really want you to think about subscription boxes that aren't necessarily book heavy. So you're not competing with, the 9 million other books that they're trying to select to fit in the subscription boxes, but rather something that has sort of the same, that has sort of the same vibe, right? Mm-hmm. And it's actually really surprisingly, because we were talking about this when we were in the green room, it's surprisingly actually really easy to pitch subscription boxes. I don't know that it's necessarily that easy to get into them, but it is easy to pitch them. And all you have to do, so I recommend find 3 to 5 that feel like they're a match to your book, and look on their website. All their submission information is on there, how to submit your product, because that's how they get product ideas, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, just email them and get with your pitch. And we just did a show on book pitching. So how to create your perfect book pitch. So you might want to find that show in your podcast library, but pitch them the idea of your book, and they're probably going to ask you for a sample copy. Now, in some cases, like with catalogs, you may end up selling them and this goes back a ways, but when I've done catalog sales, they were usually, in the range of 3,000 to 5,000. So there are a lot of catalogs at that time purchased large numbers of books. I don't know that they still do that, to be honest with you, because we haven't really added catalogs to our repertoire of pitching in a while. One of the reasons for that is because with catalogs and subscription boxes, it does require that you are diligent. So you're going to send an email out to the subscription box company and ask them for their submission guidelines, and they may respond to you, they may not. Send it again. Right. You know what I mean? You have to really stay after them. For catalogs, find the catalog that you feel resonates most, again, with your book, right? And many times their submission information is not on their website, which I know sounds a little weird. Like, why are they so secretive about this? You may have to email them, you may have to call them. Many times one catalog or one company manages a whole bunch of different catalogs, right? Mm-hmm. And you can probably go to like catalogs. So catalogs.com, which, Amy, this is going to totally blow your mind. So if you go to catalogs.com, you'll see, you'll see a list of every imaginable catalog from, Vitamin World to Jessica of London to all kinds of things. And it's going to be just a matter of, like I said, finding a match and using a little bit of creativity, right? But there are a lot of like Christmas catalogs. It's mind-blowing how many Christmas and holiday catalogs, any kind of holiday themed catalogs are out there. And the other piece that I want you to sort of consider is, so I mentioned early on, I always sort of joked about it, that I get Wine Country Gift Baskets catalog, right? Why couldn't you, if you have like a gift book or something, I'm not suggesting that you pitch them a 400-page book, but if you have a gift book, what a nice thing to include in a gift basket, right?
Absolutely. I think that's where, and we hammered this home in our last episode again about the pitching, but really knowing who your market is, who your potential readers are, and really honing the creativity behind that. Go beyond just this person likes food. If you've written an entertaining or, it's very in right now to do boards, like meat and cheese boards or dessert boards or all these things. And there's so many cool cookbooks about it because visually they're just stunning. But think about the different ways that people would use that. Don't just say people that like to entertain. You really have to go a lot deeper than that, because you're going to show that you did your market research. And that's anybody that you're pitching, they want a sure thing. So the more you can prove that you understand who would resonate with your book and that is clearly their audience as well, the more likely you are to get positive responses from your pitches.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think then to kind of continue that thread, when you are pitching them, think about creating a pitch package. So I'm not necessarily suggesting that you send a bunch of attachments, but I think your pitch should include positive reviews or endorsements that you've gotten from people about your book, so that they know that this book didn't just come out yesterday and you're hoping for the best. You know what I mean? And there are also a lot of online catalogs. Like I started to see on Instagram, and I'm not sure how this got into my feed, but this company called Temu. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Right? Like it's everywhere. Like they must be spending a gajillion dollars on advertising. But they that's an example of an online catalog. They don't have a print catalog, but that's also something that you could consider, getting into. Believe it or not, places like Hickory Farms still. I remember Hickory Farms. Remember those stores? Did you,
Yes.
you ever remember those? Remember, my mother used to love to go into Hickory Farms just to get free samples because Martha, right? She was always my mother was always about the free samples. But those catalogs still exist. Harry and David, they have lovely gift baskets and things like that. I mean, those are obviously foodie related, but other opportunities. And then you have home catalogs and things like that. I mean, I think once you zero in on this, it's really endless. I know people. Yeah. I was listening to a class a few months ago, and this woman was talking about how she literally, that's all she does, is she sells her book to subscription boxes.
It's so smart because I have done a lot of subscription box browsing before, because a lot of times you just start with a friend in mind. And so you start very broad, kind of like best subscription boxes for women. And it's amazing how many of those have eclectic items in them, because a lot of them kind of cover different just lifestyle niches, if that makes sense. So a lot of them aren't just books, that it's a book and it's maybe a pair of gloves and it's a notepad and a great pen. You know what I mean? They're so often you see tons of them that will include a mix of different items that just fit a certain vibe or concept, which means that there's so many more options out there, like you were saying, Penny, than just, playing within the same sandbox. Like I have to find a book subscription box. It's like, not necessarily, depending on what you've written, there might be a number of different lifestyle boxes out there that you could pitch to as well.
Yeah. And I think, this was a few years ago, but you gave me and it was a subscription box from Natural Life. Mm-hmm. It was the happy box. Actually, it was a gift set. So it wasn't a subscription box, but it was the happy box gift set. And it was so fun. And literally, like, everything under this Natural Life brand is about happiness and joy and all this other stuff. And they have all different kinds of things. And this was the cutest thing. And it had all kinds of really it had like dish towel. I mean, it had all kinds of really cute stuff in there. So really the only limitations are obviously if your book doesn't tie into that or something like that. But you had, and this is something we talked about when we were in the green room, you did a mystery. I don't know that it was a subscription box, but you did a mystery game that like a clue was mailed to you every month.
Oh yeah. To hunt a killer.
To hunt a killer. That's right. Right.
And it lands on a bunch of lists for like under the category of subscription boxes. I even saw it on a couple book lists because there is a lot of reading to it. And it is like a continual storyline that you follow, but it's not bound like a traditional book.
Right.
But the concept is very similar to a book. And that was very fun.
But that's also something that I think if you've written, like if you've written a mystery or if you've written something that is true crime, I would think that it would be, I think that potentially they might be open to doing it. I mean, even if they're not, consider that even if the company has not included books previously, this might be something that they're willing to expand into, because books have a much higher perceived value than most of the things that are often given away. And we talk about this a lot in relation to like writers' conferences. So sometimes you get a lot of really cool swag, and maybe you get a mug or you get a water, thing. I don't even know. Apparently I can't find my words. You're going to have to help me.
Water bottle.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So embarrassed. Oh my gosh, Penny, you've been speaking English long. So you get a water bottle or something, but if you get a book, you're much less inclined to throw that away. And these subscription boxes know that as well. So, pitch to them. One of the other things that is worth mentioning is that if you do end up, so I mentioned the numbers of 3,000 to 5,000 for the catalogs. And like I said, I don't know that that's necessarily as true now as it was, but you may get a request for a bulk order, which is a high quality problem to have, but they're probably going to ask you for a steep discount. So one of the things you want to be prepared for, maybe have in your back pocket, is to know a printer that could print the book in bulk for you. And, if you have a hybrid publisher, you should still be able to do that because you typically keep all the rights to your book. If you have a traditional publisher, they probably can give you some bulk rates for the book. The reason for this is because they are going to want to get a steep discount on the book such that they get, they are not necessarily spending the retail for every book that they're going to put in these subscription boxes. And the same holds true for catalog. So they're going to want to have a steep discount. So just kind of be prepared for that. But honestly, that's really all you need to know. I hope that this opens up some doors for you, or just at least get you kind of thinking about another opportunity for your book that is a little bit less traditional, but potentially pretty lucrative.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, well, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this has been helpful to you. We welcome show ideas, and we always love reviews wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.